Hi everyone. This is Tim Guy here to talk about my inquiry activity for the last section here of our class. Just a little overview of what the activity is. So basically, students are going to get into groups and they're going to be exploring some things about discontinuities. This will happen whenever we do our rational functions unit in Algebra 2. And basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to have my students kind of sit together and look at some graphs / they're also going to graph some graphs of different functions. And I'm basically going to ask them, hey, just look at these functions and see if you notice anything weird and why that may be going on. And so what they're going to do is they're going to look at it and kind of notice these things called discontinuities, these either big jumps or these little holes that happen in your graph. And then what I'm going to ask them to do after they kind of notice all these different things is to try to make a connection between the graph and the equation. Why are these things happening in their graph? What are the equations showing that these things are happening? And they're going to talk to their partners about it and try to bring up some evidence and figure out what's going on there. After they're done, I'm going to have them kind of reflect on their process and see if there's anything that they could have seen or done differently to kind of move on and figure out why those discontinuities are happening. So just how this aligns with our STEM practices. So I think this is a level 2 or level 3, depending on which chart you're looking at, level of inquiry. Basically, I'm sort of presenting the question where I'm saying, hey, what's weird going on with these graphs, and kind of explore what's going on with that. But the students are pretty much doing the exploration and the inquiry that's going on here. Also, what kind of aligns with some STEM practices is the reflection at the end is an example of metacognition. My kids are really going to review their thought processes and think about how they can improve on what they're doing. Also, this is going to utilize technology in terms of students graphing. They're going to use an app called Desmos, which you'll see in a moment when I do my activity, and that's going to give them some deeper understanding they might not be able to get without that use of technology. For the tenets of inquiry, how this kind of fits each one, the learner engaging in scientifically oriented questions. This is a very much a, hey, just explore what's weird, what's going on. That's kind of what a lot of science kind of boils down to, is starting with that question of why is this happening and what's going on here. In terms of giving evidence, the students are going to have to tell me why they're coming up with the conclusions they're coming up with. If there's a discontinuity at 2, why is that going on? Can you explain to me why that would be happening there? So they have to provide evidence. And then they're going to have to explain to me the reasons behind that evidence. So hopefully students, what they're going to see is when they get a removable, it's going to cancel out for the numerator denominator. And I hope that they're able to tell me that and give me that explanation. This also is going to kind of connect to some of their previous knowledge that they have and what they know about functions in terms of canceling things and factors. And then really they're going to have to communicate with each other and me about what their conclusions are here. So let's take a look at what the activity looks like. So if we go down here, this is my worksheet I created with the activity that'll be posted along. And this is really what students will be working through with each other. So for the first one, they're going to go ahead and graph this function right here in Desmos. So I actually have Desmos pulled up here with the function graphed. Right here. And you can see they're going to look at this and say, oh, look, there's something weird going on here. If I zoom out, you can see this big jump thing. That's weird. That's very different than the functions we've talked about in class. And so they go ahead and they kind of zoom in and try to take a look at where that is occurring at. And we can kind of see that at 1, it looks like that seems to be where this weird thing is happening. So hopefully they kind of make that conclusion and go over to the third part. Hey, it looks like there's something weird going on at 1. Why would that be happening? And then they go to the next one, and this one I kind of gave them the graph because it can be a little difficult to see. But here you can see there's this weird little hole in the middle of their graph, and why would that be happening? And hopefully they kind of start to realize, oh, like at 2, there's that little hole. Why the heck would that be going on at 2? And then they have some experience with piecewise function. This is going to have what's called a jump discontinuity, where it's going to jump from here to here. And again, that's going to happen at 2. Why would that be happening there? So then down here, they're going to go ahead and talk to their group or their partner about these 3 problems and try to figure out what's going on and why it's going on. So if I were doing this, again, I would graph it in Desmos. I would say, oh, there's something here at 2. And then I'm going to go back and look at these different functions and try to see what's going on. And what I would notice after I did this is, oh, look, at 1, that's where I'm dividing by 0. And in this one, At 2, I'm dividing by 0, but I also can see that this is a factor of the numerator and it's canceling out. So that would be the reason why this discontinuity looks different than this one. And then after the students would get done discussing, then they would go ahead and talk to each other about, okay, what did I think when I went through this? What can I improve on for next time? So I hope you enjoyed my activity. I'm really excited to use it in my class this year. I hope everybody had a really nice experience in this course.